Opinion poll, fear of China and Russia. Chancellor Olaf Scholz's trip to China is not an easy visit. Germans know that, too. However, Russia remains the most problematic child. This is shown by the ARD-Deutschland trend. With the Russian war of aggression on Ukraine, security policy ideas have been set in motion in Germany. Foreign relations, both political and economic, are under review. Relations with Beijing are increasingly in the spotlight these days, also because of Chancellor Olaf Scholz's trip to China. The latest ARD Germany trend, compiled by the Opinion Research Institute in Freitas DMAP, showed that China is currently a trusted partner for Germany for only 9% of those eligible to vote. 5 years ago, it was still 36%. Thus, the attitude of Germans toward China has cooled enormously in recent years. Thus, the German population currently views China with a similar distrust as Russia, 10%. The fear that Russia might attack other European states has decreased compared to the beginning of the war, but remains high at 61%. However, Russia scores much worse in the ranking as a global threat factor, 86% Russia versus 63% China. What's next for China? What does this mean for the future of trade relations with China in particular? After all, the country has been Germany's most important trading partner for 6 years. The representative sample of 1307 respondents to the Germany Trend Survey does not take a very clear stance on this. Almost 9 out of 10 call on the German government to make Germany less economically dependent on non-democratic countries. Moreover, only 1 in 5 consider the representation of economic interests to be more important than commitment to human rights on the ground when it comes to China. However, there is no unanimity on the question of future economic cooperation with China. Half advocate reducing the scope of cooperation. However, not a few are in favor of maintaining relations to the same extent or even expanding them. In contrast, the attitude towards investments in parts of the infrastructure is clearly negative. 7 out of 10 respondents, 69%, consider the 24.9% stake of the Chinese state-owned shipping company COSCO in one of Hamburg's 4 container terminals, approved by the German government, to be wrong. The pollsters claim that partisan preferences do not play a role in this case. More diplomacy, fewer weapons. The number one issue in German foreign policy remains the war in Ukraine. Of the 2 warring parties, Ukraine is clearly closer to the Germans than to Russia. 1 in 2, 47%, see Ukraine as a reliable partner for Germany, while only 1 in 10, 10%, see the Russian Federation as a reliable partner. However, the gap has narrowed since the March survey. At that time, 63% trusted Ukraine and only 6% trusted Russia. Disagreement remains. The last survey was conducted in August over Germany's military and economic response to the Russian invasion. In addition, 4 in 10 respondents consider the current support for Ukraine with weapons to be adequate. About 1 in 5, on the other hand, complains that the support is too little, and 30% reject the deliveries so far as too extensive. The scope of the economic sanctions imposed on Russia convinces 31%. For 37%, the scope is insufficient, and for 23%, the sanctions are too broad. Here, opinion has hardly changed since the previous October. The situation is different when it comes to Germany's diplomatic efforts. For more than half, they do not go far enough. This is 14 percentage points higher than in June. Sunday poll, Union still in the lead. In the current federal political environment, the CDU/CSU is still in the lead and could expect 28% in a federal election today, as in the previous month. The Greens, also unchanged, are currently at 19%. There is movement among the Social Democrats, 2 percentage points more for the SPD, and thus on a par with the Greens. The AfD, 14%, and the FDP, 6%, are slightly worse off than last time. The Left Party could expect an unchanged 5%.